What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for another review of 90 Day Fiance Before the 90 Days, Season 5, Episode 14, Disappearing Act. So we start off with Gino and Jasmine. This is the aftermath of their argument. So they have this huge blowout argument where Jasmine was looking through Gino's phone and she saw some emails and saw that he had taken a trip back in 2014 with his ex-wife or his ex-girlfriend, and it was to Legoland and she never knew about it, and she gets mad at Gino because he didn't tell her. Gino's like, I forgot about it, it's no big deal. To her it was a huge deal. So she starts questioning him about his trust and his loyalty, so on and so forth. He gets upset, he gets up and he walks away and he leaves. So she goes running after him, and they sit down and they talk it out. They sit down on the grass and they decide to talk it out. And Gino says in his confessional that he's upset because Jasmine doesn't trust him and that makes him feel worthless. Well, have you proven to be trustworthy? Because it seems like you've done a lot of things to betray her trust. The biggest one of all is sending her intimate photos to someone she didn't know who is now trying to blackmail her. So Jasmine starts off by crying and she's like reminiscing about how it used to be when they were both quarantined and they used to talk on the phone all the time, and how he would make her these promises that they were going to be together one day and everything was going to work out between them. And she says that she wants that Gino back and she wants that old feeling back of how things used to be. And that doesn't quite sound like the guy that she described, someone who made her feel secure, someone who made her feel loved and comforted. That does not quite match up with the guy that I've seen on this show. Because the guy that I've seen on this show seems very aloof, sometimes a little bit distant. Like any type of intimacy or closeness with her is like awkward for him. And he also is not trustworthy. So I don't know who she's talking about, but that's the Gino that she had grown to love. And that's the Gino that she wants back. So Jasmine says, I love you, I don't want to lose you, and I need you. They hug it out. In her confessional, she says that Gino has become her very best friend and she knows the sweet, intelligent side of Gino. Okay, why didn't we see this then? Where is the sweet and intelligent Gino? Because an intelligent person would not have done half the things that he did. You come there with cheap gifts or no gifts. You send intimate photos of her to strangers. You're picking up broken fingernails off a dirty floor and keeping them for your memento of her. The Gino, you're buying cheap jewelry to propose to her with. So where is this sweet and intelligent Gino? He's yet to show up as far as I'm concerned. So Jasmine says that she forgives him for his stupidity. She does not. She says she's not making any excuses for the things that he did, but she just wants to move on and, get to a better place with him. Gino says in his confessional that he didn't think that they were ever going to make it. And, he's just happy that she's giving him another chance. So even though she was mad at him, she had never stopped loving him. And Jasmine is like I don't know if it's her, if it's him. I don't know what's going on here, because the anger that she displayed when she found out that he was communicating with his ex, the way that she gets when he does like the most minor of things that she kind of twists around as he's betraying me. The tight hold that she has on this whole dysfunctional relationship, I don't understand it, but she wants to hang on to it. And I just need her to let me borrow her Gino colored glasses so I can see what she sees in this man, because I just don't understand why she's fighting so hard and I wonder if it's like self-esteem issues. I wonder if, even though on the outside she appears to be very attractive, very intelligent, on the inside there's probably a lot of insecurity, and maybe she feels like she couldn't be with anybody better than Gino. Maybe she feels like this is as good as it's ever going to get for me, so I'm going to hang on to this man for dear life, because I just don't, I don't know. I don't understand at all what's going on. So they go to the hot springs and they spend time in the hot springs, trying to reconnect. And then after that, they go take a walk in the rain. And then they stop by somewhere. And it's like this gorgeous scenery is behind her of the mountains of Panama. It is just absolutely gorgeous. And so she's fumbling around with this umbrella. And this is when he takes the time to propose to her. So he pulls out the ring and he gets down on one knee and he's holding the ring. And it's in this cheap plastic box thing that looks like something that you would see in a gumball machine, with the cheap trinkets that come in those clear covers. And he opens it up and he's holding the ring, but the open part of the ring is facing him and not her. So she's not able to see exactly what the ring looks like right away. And maybe he did that strategically so that she wouldn't say no after the proposal. So she's still fumbling around the umbrella and he's trying to get her attention. So he just has to call her name. And so he calls her name and she turns around and she sees him there on one knee holding this ring in this clear plastic case. And he proposes to her. Of course, she says yes, she says yes. They get up, they hug it out, and it's also beautiful. And so, then there's like the two of them standing together after she says yes. It's the two of them standing together, and Gino is so excited, and he's like, "Oh my God, we got married!" And then it's like, "Wait a minute, no, we didn't. We just got engaged." So that was a cute little mistake. And so then Jasmine says in her confessional that getting married to Gino is crazy. Yes, it is. We agree with that. And she talks about how we're very creepy, we're dysfunctional, we're toxic, but somehow this is the man that I want to be with, and it works for us, and this is who I want to spend the rest of my life with. And so they're looking at the ring, and then he asks her, "Do you like it?" And she's like, "Well, it's a little bit big for my hand." And it did look really cheap and big and gaudy. It looked awful. But I'm pretty sure she's okay with it because I'm pretty sure she's going to make sure that he upgrades that ring. And I can't wait to see the upgrade. But she said yes, that's the most important thing. And you can always get another ring. Moving on to Usman and Kim. So Usman is stressed out, y'all. He is so stressed out. This woman has stressed him out to no end. So his two friends come and talk to him. And, he's really worried that this is the end of his relationship with Kim. And my interpretation is, this is the end of his money train. But he claims this is the end of his relationship. He doesn't know what to do. He needs to get his woman back. His friends just don't understand. One of his friends says, one of his friends actually says to him, "I feel like you're not really compatible with this old woman." Every time they get a chance to call her an old woman, to me, it's hilarious. So he's like trying to figure out what he needs to do to get her back. He even tells his friends that this woman threw a drink in his face, and his friends are like, "Okay, that's unacceptable and disrespectful. So I don't know what the hell you're trying to do here." And he says that Kim is everything that he looks for in a woman. For example, she's got the money. And then, she has the money and and she also has the money. So she checks all three boxes. So this is the woman that he really needs in his life because she checks all the boxes of everything that he needs and he just can't let her go. So the friends don't get it. Whatever. They don't understand what's going on here. So we see Kim. Kim is packing up. She's throwing clothes in her suitcase because she's trying to get the hell out of Dodge. She's had enough of Usman and his shenanigans and being embarrassed, so she's out of there. So Usman actually texts her and says that he wants to meet her on the beach. So she gets all excited and she gets all giddy like a teenager. Like, "Oh my God, he just texted me. He wants to meet me right now." And the producers ask her, "So what are you going to do?" She's like, "I'm going to go meet him." But that's what's so crazy, the fact that I want to go meet him. Yes, we know you want to go meet him. We know you were not going to leave Tanzania without seeing Usman one last time. So she gets really excited, I guess, because she's expecting that this is him trying to do that big grand thing that she requested from him. And so she just can't wait to see what he did. So she goes to the beach, and as she walks up to there's like a table set up, like trying to be all cute and romantic. It's like this table with two chairs, and it's like they took a couple of sheets from one of the rooms, wrapped up the chairs, wrapped up the table, laid it on the table, took some red ribbon, wrapped them around. Like they did what they could at the last minute, right? And there's like some rose petals spread around on the ground under the table. So she's walking up, and she's like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Is it? And so she sits down and she's waiting for her man to show up. And then here comes Usman walking like all Rico Suave, and he's holding his cell phone to his mouth, and there's a song playing, one of his songs playing. And as this song is playing from his cell phone, he's singing along with it and holding the cell phone to his mouth as if it was a microphone. And he's singing along with the track. And it's obviously a song that was deleted, or a song that wasn't quite good enough to make it to the album, that wasn't good enough to be released to the public. It ended up on the studio room floor. This is what he is trying to win her back with. Okay, some third rate song, singing, playing from his cell phone. Not even, he couldn't even get speakers to play. I mean, that would have been wonderful. If you really wanted to play this song for her, you could have had them playing from some type of, Bluetooth speakers. You could have done that. And it wasn't even like a Kimberly song. It was just some old song that he recorded years ago that wasn't quite good enough for anybody else, but he found it in his archives. And this is what he's singing to her. And it's really pathetic. But this is all that she needs to forgive and forget. And so he comes, he sits down, he slouches in the chair. They start talking. She says, even though this is nice, we still got work to do. And he's like, of course, of course. Then he leans in to kiss her. So that really won him some points. And then they probably ate some dried chicken. And that was the end of that. And I was like, really? No beautiful bouquet of flowers, no trinket, no bracelet, no necklace, just any kind of a memento that she could take back with her of you, because she did give you a MacBook Pro and a PS5. You can even give her like a little opal ring that she could wear on her pinky finger, or like a little necklace with a U and a K on it for Usman and Kim. You couldn't do none of that. All you could do is have the hotel get some old bed sheets, wrap them around some furniture with some red ribbon, sprinkle some petals on the ground, and then you sing her this song off of your iPhone. That's the best that you could do to win this woman back after how you embarrassed her and humiliated her with the Zara video. Okay, if it's good enough for Kim, it's good enough for me. So, but I wouldn't have accepted that. So, what else happened in this craziness? When I was watching this scene, all I can think of, oh, by the way, he tells her he wants her to meet his mother. So, yeah, he wants her to meet his mom. Little does she know, mom is in on this whole plan. Mom is probably the one that put him up on game, on what you do with these older American women. So she thinks it's just, oh my God, I'm going to meet his mom. And then she says something like, his mom probably is going to think, oh, here we go again. Another, she didn't want to say what she really wanted to say, which is what we were all thinking. His mom was probably going to be like, oh, here we go. Another old white woman from America again, which is probably the truth. So she's like kind of nervous about meeting his mom. Whatever, Kim, you're excited. And I'm like, okay, what is that supposed to mean? What is that supposed to do? Because who's going to pay for that trip? It'd be one thing if you want her to meet your mom and you pay for her trip and you pay for all of her expenses while she's there and you put her in a really nice hotel in Nigeria. That would mean a lot. But if she has to pay for that trip to go meet your mom, bump that. So she actually referred to this event, this cheap event that he put up, as a private concert. She said that. And so she wanted something big and grand. Was I really expecting? No, I wasn't, because I think in my last review, I even said he's probably going to get her some cheap gift or write her a little song. He didn't get the gift, and the song wasn't even written for Kim. So whatever. To me, this was just dinner with some dry chicken and a cute little setup that the hotel staff did at the last minute. That's all that was. But like I said, if it's good enough for her, we got to live with it. Ben and Mahogany. So, Mahogany. Let's talk about her Spanish. This was mentioned on Twitter, and I was thinking this beforehand, and then I saw it on Twitter. I don't know what it is, but when she speaks Spanish, it sounds like a Westerner speaking Spanish. It doesn't flow whenever she speaks Spanish. It's kind of like she speaks it like the way someone who's not a native Spanish speaker speaks it. Like you kind of have to think before you say each word. It just doesn't fall from her lips like the way it does, like when Ximena speaks it or when her parents speak it. So I'm not understanding what's going on. And her English to me seems perfectly fine. She talks like she grew up speaking English, but then there are times when she acts like she feels better speaking Spanish. So I'm not understanding this at all. Anyway, so the trip was supposed to be very romantic between Ben and Ximena, but it's not. Ben and Mahogany, but it's not. So Mahogany feels really offended that Ben wanted to talk talk to her parents. And I'm like, okay, why are you offended by that? The consensus is he has to win your parents over because your parents have a million doubts about this man. So why is it strange that he would try to meet with your parents to try to win them over and convince them that he's not trying to take advantage of you, manipulating you, using you? Why is that so crazy? Since we first met you, Mahogany, you keep talking about how my parents don't know what your intentions are. Well, he's trying to tell them what his intentions are, but that's even suspicious. So, Mahogany says that Mahogany and her dad, they're having a conversation, and it seems like Mahogany is trying to, I don't know if she's trying to like persuade her dad that Ben is not for her. I don't know, because she was just saying how, she thought he was immature for someone as old as he is, and that he's not the same man that she met online. And she said that it was really immature for him to not show up for breakfast. So this guy's about to meet your dad, and you're telling your dad negative things about him. Like, you're trying to turn your dad off to this whole Ben thing. I didn't understand that. Let the man make the decision for himself. So dad is like, you know what? Bump all that. Forget all that. You need to be with somebody younger. This man is way too old for you. You're young. You have your whole life ahead of you. You have dreams. You have goals. You have future projects. You have all this stuff going on for you. And Ben is not the one. You need to get somebody who's on your age level so you can experience life together like that, not with Grandpa Ben. So Mahogany says in her confessional that Ben is a very different person from whom she met online. Okay, moving on. So Ben is waiting at some cafe restaurant, and he's waiting to meet her parents. Well, lo and behold, who shows up? Mahogany. Mahogany's busy, y'all. So Mahogany shows up, and she's out. She's not with her parents. And in her confessional, she says that her dad was really upset that Ben did not show up for breakfast, but she was even more upset than they were. This whole breakfast thing, I think, is kind of blown out of proportion. If I were her parents, I would still take the opportunity to meet him. And maybe that would be my way of convincing him that you shouldn't be dating my daughter. Man to man, straight up, let's talk about it. Let's lay it all out on the table. Let's really get to the bones of this. And you say what you want, he says what he wants, and you both hopefully will walk away with some kind of an understanding. But this whole thing of, oh, my dad was upset that you didn't come for breakfast. What? First of all, he didn't know the parents were there. Mahogany told him way later. And maybe he still should have come up for breakfast. Yes, maybe I can see that it was kind of rude that he didn't show up for breakfast, but it's not that big of a deal. It's not a big enough deal to where you can't meet this man who's traveled all the way to where are they? Peru, who traveled all the way to Peru to see your daughter, that you can't have a face-to-face one-on-one with him. So she comes there with her 4-page letter, Aaliyah, talking about, well, I'm not going to be here for long. I'm just here to give you this letter from my dad. So I thought the letter was really going to say a lot, but the letter was just like, sorry I couldn't make it, best of luck or something like that. It was like really non-expressive, no information kind of letter. And so he's really like upset about this whole thing. And he's like, well, you need to understand that I didn't come to breakfast because you were not responding to any of my text. I was pouring my heart out to you the night before. You gave me no response. So I thought you were done. So then I was done because I didn't hear from you. And Mahogany says, she says in her confessional, she says, all this neediness is really immature, like him being really emotional and really needing her attention. She doesn't like it. And because I think she asked him, like, so what does that mean, the fact that I wasn't responding or something to that effect? And Ben says he wanted her to miss him so that he could feel loved. He's a very Americanized person. Like, we talk about our feelings, and men are encouraged to open up their heart and to bare their soul and to say exactly what they want in a relationship. And so maybe to women from other parts of the country, it's kind of like, oh, you're too needy. This is too much emotion for me coming from a man. Because I'm pretty sure, like Mahogany, she probably likes dating older men because they seem to be more mature, hopefully, and they're more in control of themselves. And like they are very demanding and just like really manly men who don't talk about feelings and emotions. And so she's dating this older guy who all he wants to do is talk about his feelings and pouring his heart out and all this stuff. And it's just too much for her. So She's like, I'm not really here to chat. I'm just here to drop off this letter. I don't want to be here, so peace out. And she leaves. And he's like, okay, fine. If you want to leave, then you can go ahead and leave. The day of the departure. So he's getting ready. He packs up his stuff. He goes to her room, knocks on her door, waiting for her to come out so they can start their 3-hour drive. He called it their awkward 3-hour drive back to San Bartolo. Well, he knocks on the door and some dude opens and he's like, okay, where's Mahogany? And the dude is like, who? This is my room. So Mahogany is gone. He goes to the front desk. They tell him she left last night. And he's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So he has to get a ride, an Uber or whatever, to take him back to San Bartolo. It's going to cost him $250 to drive back. This girl absolutely the definition of ghosting. She took off, didn't tell him I'm like, Mahogany, two wrongs don't make a right. You didn't like it when it was done to you. Be a woman about it and tell him that I cannot ride back with you. It's not going to happen. So I'm out. Or send him a text. If you can't do it face to face, send him a text. Hey, I'm really sorry. I got to go. I don't want to ride, 3 hours in the car with you because I just don't see it for us. When you pay for your Uber, I'll pay for half the bill or something. Be a woman about it. Don't just leave this man stranded. So he says that Mahogany is incredibly immature and she's really showing her age. And he says, I risked a lot for her. I risked my family, what they thought of me, my reputation, my finances. But Ben, you can't complain about it now because people have been telling you since day one to leave this girl alone. But you didn't want to. You wanted to experience it all. You said, I don't care. I'm doing all this for love. It doesn't matter how it all ends up. I have to do this. I have to know. So don't complain about it now. Be happy. Be happy that you came there, that you got treated crazy by her and her family, that you got stranded in the middle of nowhere. Be happy about that because you wanted the experience. You wanted to see this all the way to the end. Nobody could tell you nothing about Mahogany. You had it all figured out. So don't be perturbed. Don't be upset. Don't be worried. Be like, you know what? This was a great experience because I did exactly what I planned to do. I saw it all the way to the end, good or bad. Moving on to Memphis and Hamza. Okay, so Memphis plays like the runaway bride. It is days before her wedding. She takes off. She has to go think in a hotel. I'm thinking, do you really need to go think in a hotel by yourself like that? Or are you going to the hotel so you can talk on the phone to your ex-husband for some advice on what to do about this prenuptial agreement debacle? Because I really need to know why you're willing to pay extra money just to go to a hotel and think, when you can go to a park, a cafe, go back on that roof that you were with Hamza and do all your thinking over there. But you have to go to a whole hotel, spend more money just to think. Okay, Memphis. So she what happens here? So she's really conflicted because she really wants to get married, but she's worried about not being able to do the prenup. So she's like, okay, do I postpone the wedding? Do I go through with it because I can't do the prenup? So she's conflicted with what she needs to do because she really wants to protect her assets for her children. So she goes back to the apartment, to Hamza's apartment. So usually in Tunisia, a wedding celebration takes 5 days. But because they're so constrained on time, this wedding celebration will only take 2 days. There's a lot of rushing with Hamza and Memphis. It's like everything is always like last minute. So the family noticed that she was gone, and I'm thinking, how embarrassing is that for Hamza, that your family went above and beyond for this celebration because they really don't know Memphis that well, but they're still willing to accept her and they're willing to still celebrate with her. And she's not even there on the first hours or whatever of the celebration. The girl is not even there. So, when she finally arrives, the women of the family, they dress her up. They take her they put her on a horse. I think it was like a horse and buggy. They take her to a spa for some pampering and some cleansing and all of that. And Memphis says in her confessional that she feels the love and the acceptance with Hamza's family. And she gets kind of emotional about that because she didn't have that growing up. So for this family to just show so much love for her, she really, really feels it. And she's really appreciative of it. So she's willing to take the risk of not doing a prenup as long as they get to do a postnup. So in the middle of this celebration of joy and happiness, she has to find a way to talk about these complex legal matters right before they get married. Memphis, your timing sucks. Your timing is garbage. I think you had so much opportunity, so many opportunities, because you knew you were going to do this before you even arrived in Tunisia. So it would have made sense that you would have had all your documents together before you even left the United States and brought them to Tunisia. In fact, how about this? Before you left the United States, you could have emailed him the documents so that he would have the time to get an attorney, to get a translator, to explain everything to him that was in the prenup for him to make a proper decision. But you didn't do that because you wanted to blindside him. And you figured because he's young and because he's from a different culture, he's not really going to understand and he's just going to do what I want him to do and I'm going to be protected nonetheless. But the law was one up on you because your own lawyer told you you can't do this in a few days. It's not going to work. But for that, you still would have done that. You would have taken advantage of this young guy to make sure that you were protected and that he had absolutely nothing in this. Moving on. So she FaceTimes her mom and she tells her mom, look, I'm not going to have time for this prenup thing. And the mom is like, you need to make time. You better do this prenup. And she's like, I just don't have the time, mom. I don't have the time to do it. So instead, I'm going to do a prenup. Her mom is like, okay, do what you got to do. Everyone is celebrating. The party's in full swing. Everybody's happy. You know, it's joyous occasion. And here she is running around trying to figure out a way to talk to Hamza about this postnuptial agreement. So she grabs him. She grabs his sister, takes him into the bedroom. The sister's going to be translating. And then she starts talking about, you know, is he willing to sign a postnuptial agreement so that if we ever get a divorce, he doesn't take my money. So the sister translates all of this. And Hamza's like, I thought we already talked about this. So what the hell does she want now? So the sister's like, well, she wants you to sign this agreement after y'all get married so that, you know, whatever, her assets are protected. So the sister and Memphis kind of get into it because the sister is like trying to look out for her brother. So the sister is like, you know, this doesn't make any sense because he's not, this whole talk about divorce and money, it's like, what are you really trying to do here? Because Hamza, he's not of that mindset of like, okay, in case I get a divorce. He's not even thinking about a divorce because of what he went through as a child when his parents divorced. He does not want to hear about divorce, talk about divorce. He doesn't want to experience a divorce. But this is something that you keep constantly bringing up to him. And she goes, well, I need to protect my children. I need to protect my children so he doesn't get my money. I need to protect my children for my children. And so the sister's kind of like, you know, she's trying to look out for her brother. And she's like, well, it seems like you don't trust him. You know, he's going to run away with your money, get a divorce, run away with your money. It's like, you don't trust him. And she goes, well, it's not like I don't trust him. I'm just looking out for my kids. But Memphis, you don't trust him. And that's okay. That's okay if you don't trust him. Your message and what you're trying to do is correct, but the way you go about doing things and your delivery, it's awful. So it's not resonating with, you know, his family and him. It's just not. You just find a better way of communicating to get what you want. For example, instead of saying, I don't want him to leave with my money if we get a divorce and I have to protect my children. Everything is my. When he's entering this marriage as a we thing, as a union of both you and him, all you're talking about is, I need to protect my stuff for my kids. Instead of all of that, maybe just kind of soften it up a little bit. Like, hey, you know, people change. It's very easy for people to change in a marriage. You know, who we are today may not be who we are 10 years from now, 15 years from now. You never know what might happen in the future. So, you know, in my culture, we always have to be ready for the worst case scenario. That's why we have things like insurance. And, you know, that's why we, you know, give a couple of examples how in American culture, we're always thinking of the worst. That's why just whatever. So in case, you know, things change between us, in case I'm not the same or if he's not the same, you know, this is an agreement that can protect both of us. You know, whatever he's acquired, you know, he's going to be in a foreign country among, you know, around people he really doesn't know. So if anything happens or me and him are not together anymore, you know, he'll be protected as well. There's a way to say things without sounding like a monster, but she has yet to learn that skill. So Hamza gets so frustrated and, the sister even tells him, if I were you, I wouldn't sign it, because she's basically like threatening you. If you don't sign this, we're not going to get married. So if I were you, I wouldn't even sign it. So Hamza gets so frustrated with this because he just wants to marry this woman. He's like, you know what? I'll sign whatever she wants me to sign because I've already told her, whatever you want me to sign, I'll sign it. And this is so sad to see how, in a way, he's being manipulated because all she cares about is protecting herself. And this man has no lawyer. He doesn't have an advocate in the legal field to really give him the advice that he needs, because the question is, what about you, Hamza? What about your stuff? What happens if you acquire a lot? Does she get that too? Is this agreement going to protect you as well? Or is this just, what if, and I understand that whatever is acquired during the marriage is considered, marital property. It's theirs together, whether she acquired it or he acquired it. She just wants to protect the stuff that she's coming into the marriage with. Okay, well, maybe he might have something that he's coming into the marriage. I don't know, but it just doesn't seem right that it seems like someone who's very savvy with legal matters is trying to convince someone who's not so savvy to sign a document. It just doesn't seem right to me. It seems very, very shady. So, like I said, he agrees to sign it. He's like, whatever, whenever you give it to me, I'll sign it, whatever. I just want to get married. And then he tells her, I don't want to talk about this ever again. I don't want to talk about divorces. I don't want to talk about prenups, postnups. I don't want to talk about none of that stuff ever again. It's going to be dead today. So Memphis says, well, I hope this doesn't ruin the wedding or how his family feels about me. Really? You basically gave him an ultimatum. And we all know ultimatums, they make everybody feel so warm and fuzzy inside. Moving on to Mike and Ximena. Ximena tells her mom and sister that things are not working out with Mike. Things are falling apart. And they're even sleeping in separate rooms. And the stepmom was like, huh? Really? Yep. They're sleeping in separate rooms. So Ximena tells him that Mike is weird. She gives this example about how he had dirty shoes and then he put them in a washing machine. And I was like, isn't that what he's supposed to do? Like, what? I'm confused. Or was she talking about the dog poop on his shoe, that he should have cleaned it outside instead of putting that in the washing machine? Maybe that's what she was referring to. So Ximena brought up how he stares again, how he stares at her when she's sleeping. She brought that up again. And you can tell that Ximena is definitely nitpicking. She's just nitpicking because she just doesn't want to be with him. I don't know why she just can't say, look, I just don't like him no more. I don't want to be with him. Don't ask me why. That's just how I feel. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm just not going to be with him anymore, because it's just crazy to always talk about these little tiny insignificant things that don't really mean much. But anyways, so Ximena says she's not sure that she's going to go through with the wedding. The mom is hoping that they do work it out, because the mom says that Mike is good for you. He's going to take care of you, take care of your kids. He's accepting you with your children. He has no issue with that. He's accepted you, your kids, your family. He wants to take care of you. He's already taking care of you. So you need to try to work it out with Mike. So Mike in his confessional says that Ximena said that she would change, but she hasn't, because she promised that she was going to try to do better, but she hasn't seen any changes. So the mom tells Mike that she also, because Mike and the stepmom are having a conversation, and she tells him that she's also noticed a change in Ximena and that she feels really bad for Mike. So what does he do? He asks her for advice. Well, what can I do to make it better? So the mom says, be patient with her and understand that she's never been in a serious relationship before, and communicate with her as much as possible. So it gives him some kind of comfort to know that he's her first serious relationship, because she's his first serious relationship. So he's like, oh my God, we're forever bonded by, being each other's first. Well, little does he know. So he feels like, it doesn't feel like him and Ximena are really reconnecting. He says, ever since I showed up for the second trip, I feel like this huge disconnect, and we just haven't been able to get back to where we were before. So, but he's still going to remain hopeful, just like Ben Hameen. Ben Hameen remained so hopeful that he was left stranded in the middle of nowhere, thousands and thousands of miles away from home. That's what hope did for Ben. So he says he's going to remain hopeful. And, so Mike said, I guess they're going to go out to a bar or something. So while they're on their way there, Mike says to Ximena, well, your mom told me that I'm your first serious relationship. And Ximena basically laughs, and she's like, lies. That's not true. She goes, I've had several serious relationships, but I just get bored so easily. And so then Mike looks kind of bummed out about that. And then he goes, well, why do you want to get married? And he goes, because she goes, I don't. You're the one that wants to get married. She goes, I only said yes, or only agreed to marry you because you want to get married so fast, but I don't want to get married to you. And so then Ximena says in her confessional that I'm young. I just want to have fun and have a good time and enjoy life. And it's like, okay, so why did you accept his proposal though? So she says that she gets really bored with relationships. And I guess when she gets bored, she starts nitpicking. Um, but just be like, I'm not interested no more. Don't be like, oh, because you don't know, you stare at me in the middle of the night, or, you blow your nose in a tissue and you stuff it in the behind the seat of the car. Instead of stuff like that, just say, I'm over you. I don't want to be with you. I'm done. But anyways, so they play pool for a while. And after they do that, they sit down to talk. And then Mike said, he goes, isn't it nice when you have fun together, just the two of us? And Jimena's like, no. I'd rather be with my kids, not you. And so Mike says in his confessional that Ximena has been giving him the cold shoulder this whole entire trip, which makes him overanalyze every little thing. Well, you don't have to overanalyze anything because she's giving you big red flags that she's just not that into you. I mean, she delegated you to the little boy's room. She looks annoyed every time that she sees you. She doesn't want to do anything with you. She gives you all this attitude. Like, what are you over analyzing? It's like right in your face, Mike. So Mike says, your feelings have changed when I stopped buying everything. I don't know what he means by that, because the whole time that we've ever seen him in Colombia with Ximena, I've never seen her pull out her wallet for one single thing. So even on this second trip, I don't know when he stopped buying things for her. I don't know what he means by that. Does he mean like just gratuitous gifts? What does he mean by that? Because I'm pretty sure he pays for the groceries. He's paying for the rent. That the important stuff he's still paying for. So what does he mean? Ever since I stopped paying for things, we knew he wasn't going to pay for the surgery. So I don't know what he's talking about. And so Ximena says, no, it's got nothing to do with that. She says, there's things about you that I don't like. That's what's changed my feelings, and you still pay my rent. So it's obviously not the fact that you stopped the money train, because you're still paying for my rent. So she says in her confessional that him saying that made her angry because it made her look like a gold digger. Okay, but what are you if you're constantly taking money from men and taking stuff from men, but not really giving much in return? I think a gold digger gives more than what you've given him, as far as, but you're not even doing that anymore because he's in the little boy's room. So you're just taking and not giving him anything at all. And it's like him pulling teeth trying to get you to have a conversation with him. So what is someone supposed to take away from that? Like, yeah, it's kind of gold diggerish, Ximena. I mean, it is what it is. And so I feel like, okay, so on the whole note of him paying for stuff, I low-key think that the reason why he didn't pay for her surgery, I think because he couldn't afford it. If he had the money, he would have done it. But because I don't think he had the money to pay for that surgery. I don't think he was making some kind of big stand by saying, I'm not paying for your surgery. I don't think so. I think he literally did not have the money. Remember, he still lives at home with his dad and his grandfather. And he's paying her rent, probably putting money in her account. He's also paying for her other miscellaneous things. He probably just didn't have the extra money to pay for surgery. And I'm pretty sure they wanted a lump sum payment and he just didn't have it. If he had it, he would have paid for that surgery. So Ximena says that she tells him, look, from now on, we're just friends. Don't pay for anything anymore. We're not boyfriend and girlfriend anymore. It's over. We're just friends. That's it. Keep your money. And so he says, well, I want everything back that I paid for. Like what? The rent money? What do you mean? The groceries that y'all ate? What do you want back? You're going to lug all that furniture back, that 64-inch television, the couches, the tables. You're going to take all that back in your carry-on? Like, what are you talking about, Mike? And you expect her to pack all that stuff up and send it to you in New York? Like, what in the world are you talking about? So Ximena, knowing damn well that there's nothing for him to take back, she's like, okay, fine, take it. Take it all. Take whatever you want. It's over. So he goes, I'm done. And that's when he bolts. I don't know where he was going. He bolted deep into the night. And the poor cameraman had to go chasing him around. It was like an unexpected exit. So the cameraman was trying to, locate him in the dark and find wherever you are, Mike, wherever you are right now. I pray to God that you ran to go find your dignity, your self-respect, and your pride. It might be too late, but please try to look for it because we don't want you to do this again. Remember how embarrassing this feels? Keep that in mind. Don't forget that feeling of absolute humiliation when this girl told you all the things that she told you from the first time you set foot in Colombia until now that you're running off into the night. Please remember all those embarrassing things that she said about you, that she said to you. Keep that feeling close to your heart so you never, ever make this mistake again. So the producers ask Ximena, well, do you regret your decision? And she says, I don't know. Obviously not. I'm pretty sure Ximena, because word on the curb is that she's engaged to someone else or something. So it's easy for her to let go of Mike and all his money because she's moved on already. She's already moved on to, plan B. And she could care less what he does with his money, his stuff, his furniture, his apartment, whatever. She doesn't care because I'm pretty sure she wouldn't have done this if she didn't have someone else already in his place. That is my review. Thank you so much for joining me, for staying as long as you did. If you made it to the end, I really do appreciate it. Go ahead and rate the video. Thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever makes you happy. Leave a comment if you want. And most definitely don't forget to subscribe, and I will talk to you later. Bye.